What's up, Ice and Fire fans? Welcome back to the House of Vine podcast and another episode of Got Game. This will be the Season 6, Episode 9 review, The Battle of the Bastards. Let's jump right into the Battle of Fire, the Battle for Meereen. This is one of the huge book scenes where Martin left us hanging at the end of A Dance with Dragons. I most definitely didn't think we were gonna get this in the show. The scene starts with Tyrion desperately trying to explain to his queen that, minus the giant fleet out in Slaver's Bay, the city is actually on the rise. She tells Tyrion that she will destroy all the masters and their cities. Tyrion calls her out on sounding a little like her father. This is where we get some foreshadowing that Cersei will burn King's Landing to the ground using wildfire. If Jaime told his little brother about the Mad King's plans for the capital, then I'm sure he told his twin as well. This is probably the rumor her and Qyburn were talking about in the previous episode. Tyrion convinces her not to burn cities to the ground, but then a flaming rock bursts into the queen's office, and Dany gives Tyrion a look like, okay, we'll do it half your way and half my way. We're brought outside to Dany and the Masters meeting outside of the city. The Masters declare themselves the winners and offer them terms of surrender. Did these guys really just forget Dany had dragons? She hops onto her dragon's back like her ancestors of old would have done and goes right into burning the enemy fleet. Rhaegal and Viserion are thrilled that Mommy's back so much that they break out of the pyramid to go join their brother on the battlefield. Then, back to Tyrion and the Masters, Missandei says that one of them must die, and Grey Worm kills two of them instead. I bet before this parley, Dany was like, okay, Tyrion, so I'm gonna hop on Drogon's back and start burning all their ships. As soon as you see the fear in their eyes, kill two of them, and then say some badass shit to the one left over, and then walk off like a G. Moving on, let's stick to Meereen and get to the Greyjoy scene in the Great Pyramid. Now, although Yara and Theon only have 100 ships to offer Daenerys, these must be the best ships in the Iron Fleet. I mean, how else could they get from the Iron Islands to Volantis and then from there to Slaver's Bay in just a couple episodes unless these ships were crazy fast? I don't think Littlefinger is loaning out his Pip-Boy. So Tyrion starts hassling Theon on how much of a dick he was when he stayed at Winterfell all the way back in Season 1. He also mentions Theon's murder of Bran and Rickon, though Theon admits that he did not murder them, which we know is true. I'm sure Tyrion will take this little bit of information and stick it in his back pocket for a later season. The four of them discuss the alliance agreement. Theon states that the Salt Throne belongs to Yara, that they want Dany's help to kill an uncle or two and allow Yara to rule the Iron Islands as queen. We get some history of how the Queen's ancestors defeated the Greyjoy's ancestors, that all they ask is for her to return it to them. Now, in the books, Aegon the Conqueror roasted Harren the Black, you know, the guy who built Harrenhal, who was the king of the Iron Islands and the Riverlands. Once Harren and his sons were dead, Aegon rose House Greyjoy to Lords Paramount. House Greyjoy's rank and status these last 300 years is all thanks to the Targaryens. Remember, the Ironborn are a people who, for thousands of years, held kingsmoots to elect their kings. The Greyjoys have ruled without any elections for generations. They should be thanking the Targaryens. Anyway, Dany accepts the alliance as long as the Ironborn no longer reave, red rove, raid, or rape. And as long as they still pay their taxes, I'm sure. Now, back to Westeros and the Battle of Ice. Well, the second Battle of Ice. Jon Snow versus Ramsay Bolton for the hold of Winterfell. First, we get another parley in this episode, this time between the two bastards. Ramsay proclaims that he will pardon all of them if they just kneel. Jon counters by challenging him to single combat. This is a throwback to Season 1 when Jaime challenges Robb Stark. Like Robb, Ramsay turns him down because if they did it his way, he'd most definitely lose. Ramsay then threatens the Prince of Winterfell, and Sansa tells the Bastard of Bolton that he will die before riding off, not hearing the little tidbit about Ramsay's hounds. Back in the Stark tent, we get to see how ignorant the wildlings are when it comes to modern warfare. The other lords and Tormund take their leave, and Sansa starts nagging Jon about the size of his army. When will we have the larger army? Jon asks, and Sansa says nothing. So many theories as to why Sansa failed to mention the errant army that was on its way, but I sum it up to plain and simple, sloppy writing. However, I'll let it slide because the battle was extremely well done. During the dawn before the battle, while Sir Davos looks for a safe place to shit, he stumbles upon Princess Shireen's pyre, and although the poor little girl's bones were turned to ash, somehow, the wooden stag endured just so that the Onion Knight might find it. Before Davos really gets a chance to process this, the war horns are sound and the battle is set to begin. We see both armies lined up outside the walls of Winterfell. This was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. We get to see the noble houses of Westeros displaying their respective banners. We get Karstarks, we get Umbers, we get Mormonts. But what I loved the most was that we saw the Stark banners flying high above all the others on Jon's side of the battle. This great piece of cinematography is sadly ruined by something we haven't seen since Season 3, the death of another Stark. Poor Prince Rickon. He might have been King of the North, as long as Brandon never showed up. When Jon sees that homing arrow strike his little brother, he looks up at Ramsay with the crazy eye like, "You, tonight." He stands ready to meet Ramsay's cavalry and is literally rescued just in time by his own cavalry. This is when Jon goes into straight kill human mode. He and his Valyrian steel sword just start tearing through motherfuckers like, ah! Sorry, I'm getting a little excited. Fast forward to the Battle of Cannae, the Bolton infantry has the Stark army trapped, and just when you think all is lost, hooray! The Knights of the Vale that the showrunners tried to make us forget about shows up just in the nick of time to snowplow through the Bolton offense. Ramsay runs back to the castle like the little biatch that he is, but Jon, Wun-Wun, and Tormund are on his tail. Ramsay thinks that they'll be safe behind the wall because, it's not like they have a giant or anything. The wall-bursting, experienced Wun-Wun breaks through like a G, and Jon with the wildling archers come rushing through the gate. I knew all that practice shooting wights would pay off. Next, the moment that gave me chills when I saw it. After Ramsay kills our beloved giant, Jon grabs a Stark shield and just starts eating up arrows with it, Ramsay desperately trying to kill the bastard of Winterfell. Who didn't stand up and clap when Jon hit Ramsay in the throat and just started whipping his ass? I know I did. With Winterfell taken, we get a close-up of Mel watching as the Bolton banners are taken down. This is a callback to last season when she told Stannis that she saw this in her flames. In the books, Melisandre has repeatedly misinterpreted her fire visions. In the show, Mel was right about her walking along the battlements, right about the Bolton banners coming down, but wrong on whose banner was going to replace it. Meanwhile, down in the yard, Sir Davos is giving her the stink eye. At last, we come to the final scene between Sansa and the Bastard of Bolton. Now, although I thought it was great to have the hounds finish him off, even though the line about them starving was a screw-up since Sansa left before getting that information, I really wish they would have had Ghost eat Ramsay instead, like on behalf of Sansa's direwolf lady, but that's just wishful thinking on my part. One last thing. I'm really happy that Sansa has finally gotten her revenge on Ramsay and that the showrunners have stopped feeding her shit. However, the way she smirks while she's walking away has me kind of worried. Just throwing this out there, but this might be the beginning of Sansa as the Ice Queen. It could come to pass that her character will continue down this dark path. Think about it. Though it might feel great to see Ramsay get what he deserved, feeding a person to hounds is still extremely fucked up. So there we have it. Only one more episode left in the season, and I will definitely be back next week for a final review. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the Battle of Ice and the Battle of Fire, as well as your expectations for the Season 6 finale. Thanks for watching, and as always, share, like, and subscribe to stay updated and be the first to watch newly uploaded videos.